This is the terrifying real-life story of the possessed Labubu doll, and how it has cursed anyone who dares to own it. The first thing you need to know about the Labubu doll is what makes it so popular. The doll itself looks like a cute little girl in a Victorian nightgown. It's made out of a rubbery material with long flowing blonde hair. Its head is disproportionately large with bulging eyes. The most striking feature, though, is its mouth, which stretches into a wide, unsettling grin, almost as if it's baring its teeth for a silent scream. There are several versions of the doll, but they all share the same creepy appearance. What adds to the doll's popularity is the fact that it was said to have originated from a haunted house in Japan. According to legend, a family moved into an old house where strange things started happening. Doors slammed shut, whispers echoed through the empty halls, and objects moved on their own. Then they found the doll. At first, they thought it was just a creepy antique toy, something that belonged to the previous owner. But soon after they brought the doll home, things got really weird. The family started hearing footsteps in the middle of the night, disembodied voices whispering the name of the doll, Labubu. The doll would also move on its own accord, sometimes even interacting with other objects in the room. In one instance, the family reportedly heard someone humming a lullaby, and then they saw the Labubu doll moving its head in time with the music. They claim it wasn't any of their family members, so they checked security footage and confirmed it. There was no one else in the room. This is the alleged backstory of the doll. And whether it is true or not doesn't matter, because it works incredibly well as a marketing tool for those trying to sell these dolls. These dolls are actually mass-produced, which means there isn't a singular original doll that holds all the demonic power. It is just a clever way to attract buyers and make them think they're getting a one-of-a-kind cursed object. So what if you bought a copy of the Labubu doll? What could go wrong? Well, the answer is everything. For one Reddit user named Gwendolyn B., it all started when she saw the doll at an antique store and felt inexplicably drawn to it. She couldn't explain it, but she had to buy the doll. And when she brought it home, the strange things started happening. She experienced intense bouts of déjà vu. Rooms were freezing cold, and then suddenly sweltering hot. She would hear strange whispering sounds, and then see the doll staring at her with a malevolent grin. One day, she came home to find her apartment trashed. The closet door was wide open, and clothes strewn everywhere. And sitting on the dresser was the doll, still grinning, but now wearing one of her dresses. She tried everything to get rid of the doll, but nothing worked. She even went to a priest for help, but he refused to bless the doll. He told her that whatever entity was inside was too powerful. And so Gwendolyn lived in constant fear of the doll until one day she disappeared. That's right. The doll just vanished without a trace. It was as if it had never existed. But the relief didn't last long, because shortly after, Gwendolyn started seeing the doll in her dreams, and they weren't friendly visits. The doll would crawl towards her with sharp metal teeth and try to strangle her while laughing in a voice that sounded like nails on a chalkboard. If that wasn't enough, Gwendolyn started having panic attacks and couldn't leave her house. Her friends and family rallied around her, but there was nothing they could do. Even they started to experience strange phenomena. A friend of Gwendolyn's named Anthony tried to reason with the doll, telling it to stop tormenting his friend. But the next day, he woke up with scratches on his arm, and the skin around them burned. When he showed Gwendolyn, she instantly knew what had happened. Anthony had seen the doll in his sleep too. But why was it tormenting them? While Gwendolyn searched for answers, the doll continued its reign of terror, causing chaos and destruction. Books flew off shelves, shattering into pieces. Furniture overturned, smashing lamps and picture frames. Pictures fell off the walls, some landing directly on Gwendolyn's sleeping form. But perhaps the worst part of all was the doll's constant taunting. It would whisper to Gwendolyn as she slept, telling her horrific stories of its former life, describing in detail the pain and suffering it had endured. And then one day, Gwendolyn got a message from another doll collector. She told Gwendolyn that she, too, had a Labubu doll, and it had been nothing but trouble since she acquired it. The other woman asked Gwendolyn if she wanted to trade dolls, and Gwendolyn immediately agreed. She sent hers to the other woman and waited for the package to arrive. But when it did, she didn't open it. She didn't want to risk it coming back to haunt her. But her friend insisted, saying they needed to put an end to this. Together, they opened the box and switched the dolls. But as soon as the exchange was complete, both women were horrified. Gwendolyn's doll was nowhere to be found. Both women frantically searched their homes for it, but it was gone. And then the messages began. The same voice that had taunted Gwendolyn now whispered sweet nothings to her new owner, calling her by a name that wasn't hers. Then it started to manipulate her, convincing her that she was being gaslit by her friend. The new owner became convinced that Gwendolyn had set her up and was furious. She accused her friend of sending her a cursed doll, knowing full well what it would do. But Gwendolyn was just as shocked as she was. She hadn't done anything. It was at this point they both realized they had stumbled onto something sinister, a game of cosmic chess where they were mere pawns. They decided to team up and defeat the doll once and for all. They researched ancient folklore and rituals and devised a plan. They gathered the necessary materials and performed an exorcism in front of the doll. They read scripture, sang hymns, and blessed the doll with holy water. After hours of chanting and incantations, they watched as the doll began to shake violently. The eyes rolled back in its head, and it let out a blood-curdling scream. Then it stopped. The evil seemed to be purged from its body. They buried the doll in the backyard and went inside to catch their breath. It had worked. Finally, they had won, but their victory was short-lived. The whispering started again, but it wasn't coming from the doll anymore. It was coming from within them. They argued and fought until they were sure they were going insane. They looked at each other, their faces pale and drawn. Then they broke down and cried. They had defeated the doll, but in doing so, they had unleashed something much darker. This is where the story takes a turn for the truly horrifying. You see, when they exorcised the doll, the entity inside didn't go anywhere. It simply transferred to the next available host, which just so happened to be whoever was performing the ritual. They are now possessed by the spirit of the doll. Some say they can still be heard whispering to each other in strange tongues. Their bodies contorted in strange angles, as if forever frozen in a macabre dance. Others say they wander the earth searching for new vessels to inhabit. And so the curse of the Labubu Doll continues. Now, I don't want to dismiss the possibility that some people may have genuinely had negative experiences with these dolls. There are many cases of people claiming to have encountered ghosts, demons, and other supernatural entities, and we can't always write them off as crazy or delusional. However, I do want to highlight the fact that there is no concrete evidence that any of these claims are true. The stories are often passed around through word of mouth or online forums where people recount their experiences with these dolls. But these accounts are often embellished and exaggerated over time. Many of the supposed haunted houses where these dolls originated from are nothing more than urban legends. The houses themselves may be real, but the stories associated with them are not. For example, there is a famous haunted house in Japan known as the Aokigahara Forest, or the Sea of Trees. It is located at the base of Mount Fuji and is said to be home to many ghosts and spirits. Many people have reported strange experiences here, including hearing voices, seeing apparitions, and feeling sudden drops in temperature. However, there is no connection between the dolls and this forest. People just like to associate the two because they both come from Japan and have a spooky vibe. Ultimately, I can't say for sure whether these dolls are cursed or not, but what I can say is that the stories surrounding them are fascinating and have captured the public imagination. Whether they're true or false doesn't really matter, because the legends continue to grow and evolve. So if you ever come across a Labubu doll, be careful. You may be inviting something evil into your life.